Good day, everyone. Welcome to our Looping in Delphi Grade 10 program. This is an IT lesson. It is our third IT lesson. And today we are looking at advanced Delphi programming using the for loop. Advanced Delphi programming using the for loop. I'm your teacher, Geneva Yalalanzovu, and I'll be helping you in Delphi programming with for loops. Just a quick recap on the things that we have done. We said we should always clear your memo box or your memo output before starting to display anything. Make sure that you initialize the numbers to 0. If it is a number, you initialize it to 0. If it is a string, you initialize it to an empty string. And then you make sure that you increase values inside a loop. Always display the values immediately after they get their input. And then whenever you're working with grand totals, you should be able to display them after the loop. This is sort of what we covered in the previous lesson. And today we're going to be looking at advanced looping, advanced for looping. And we'll actually look at a few examples of how you can do looping by removing vowels in a string, and also maybe designing a triangle that is a base of 5 stars. We go on looking at highest and lowest. And finally, we'll also look at the palindrome. We'll also look at the work that I had given to those that were in the lesson. Somewhere towards the end, we'll look at the work that I had given and also look at the work that you could also try for this coming week. Okay, so we are ready to start. I'll start off with a question here. The question is trying to remove vowels in a string. Here is the question: write a program to ask the user to enter a name through an input box and then remove vowels in the word and display it. In other words, we're going to display a word without vowels. You can open up your Delphi program on the side so that you can go through with us, or otherwise you can just watch. I'm going to bring in my Delphi program and help you on how to do it. So here is the question: is trying to remove vowels in a string. I hope you still remember what vowels are. Any word is made up of consonants and vowels. We did vowels in our primary schools. And then we also did consonants. So we're going to remove vowels from a string. And that string, we're going to enter it through an input box. And after entering it through an input box, we'll try to remove the vowels and present the word with consonants only. So I'm going to be swapping around these two screens. My questions are on the PowerPoint slide that you see now. And then I'll also be bringing in Delphi screen where we'll be doing the real coding. Just before I get back to Delphi, the question again: write a program to ask the user to enter a name through an input box and then remove all the vowels in the word and display the word. So I'm going to swap to Delphi so that we demonstrate how you can remove vowels in a string that is entered through an input box. Okay, here is the screen. Here is our Delphi screen. Those that were here in the previous lesson, we did go through all these other buttons. Today, we're going straight to no vowels. I want to create a program where someone is going to enter a word through this button, and then it will remove vowels. So I'm going to double click on the button, and then you come on to the coding side of the program. Obviously, we're going to declare variables. I'm going to go on up there and put var for variable. I will say snew. That will be my new name that will contain the consonants after I've removed the vowels. And then I'm also going to use S-line. S-line is the word that I'm going to enter through an input box. Both of these are of string data type. Both of these are of string data type. They are my two variables. And then I also need a loop variable. I will use ik as my loop variable. ik's data type is integer. ik's data type is integer. So those are the three variables that I've declared, and then I'm ready now to start coding. Because I'm building up a new word, and the new word will be called snew. So I need to initialize this snew to an empty field so that when I build up, I'm building it up from an empty string. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to say snew colon equals empty space, terminate that. So I'm going to build it up from an empty string, and then I will build up as I go and fetch each vowel. And then I need the word coming in from an input box. I need the word coming in from an input box. I called the variable for my word, I called it S-line. So S-line colon equals, I'm getting it from an input box. Input box, open my bracket, the word that will display at the top of the dialog box. It will be enter name to enter name, the one name that I will be removing vowels from, and then put a comma, and then next to the input, I need the word name, and then also put open string there. And then I terminate that. S-line is of string, input box is also giving us a string input. So the data, there is no conversion needed there. It is coming from a string, it's going into a string. I go on to the next line, I'll go and bring in the for loop. I need to loop for, my loop variable is ik. Remember, I declared my ik over there at the top. My loop variable is ik, and I'm looping from 1 up to the length of S line. S line, remember, is the word that is coming in. So I'm going to loop from 1 up to the length of the word that I've typed in. Remember, S line comes in through an input box, and then I'm going to loop from 1 up to the length of that. If the word is 15 characters long, it means I will loop 15 times. If the word is 7 characters long, it means I will loop 7 times. I'm going to put in a begin here. Make it a point whenever you're using a for loop, put a begin. I know sometimes we do only loop one line, but placing a begin actually helps you, and in such a way that in case there is more than one line that you need to loop, all those lines are in between begin and end. So try and make it a habit that you always put a begin there, even if it's one line. But those that are now pros, you can just use, you can leave out begin and end if you are looping only one line. Now I go on, I want to test, so I'm going to bring in the if, and I'm going to bring in a not. Not is an operator. If not, and then I'm going to use a function called Upcase. upcase, if not upcase of S line, and then square bracket IK. I'll just explain this right now. Let me finish up in, now I put in my vowels, in square bracket, in quotation marks. I've got a capital A, a comma, a capital E, a comma, a capital I, a comma, and a capital O, and finally a capital U, and then close my square bracket, and then close my normal bracket. Sorry. Okay. Right. Let's look at this line that I've just typed in. If not, upcase. Upcase actually does change a character. It changes a character to capital letters. It is different from using what is called uppercase. I'm just going to type in here, uppercase. If you use uppercase like this, you are changing a word, not a character. If you are changing a character, you use upcase. You don't use uppercase. So uppercase if you are changing the whole string, and upcase if you are changing a character at a time. Do not confuse that. That is very, very important. So if not upcase, S line IK. Remember, S line is what is going to come in through the input box. So it will be S line 1, the first character of the name that you're going to type in. And I'm changing it to capital letters so that I can compare that with my vowels here. And check my vowels here, I've already put them in capital letters. So it's easy for me to compare capital letters with capital letters. So that upcase is meant to change any character that is coming from S line to a capital letter so that I can compare capital letters to capital letters. If I had not done that, I was going to make sure that after this, I should have also added the small letter A, the small letter B, and so on. But because I want to work smart, I've just changed everything. Every character that is coming from S line, I've changed it to a capital letter and then checked if it is not in the vowels. If it is not in the vowels, then I'm ready now to say if it is not in the vowels, I start now building up my new word. And remember, my new word is called S new. S new colon equals S new. S new will come in with a space there, and I'm going to join this with S line square bracket IK. And then terminate that line. Okay, also explain this one. S new will come in as a space over there. It will come in as a space right there, and then join with the letter that is coming in from S line. If it is not in the vowels, in other words, if it is a consonant, it will now be joined with the space in what? In S new. So we're starting to build up a word using our consonants, and that is given back to S new. So that's how we're going to build up. So as it loops, it fetches those that are consonants, those that are not in the vowels, and it builds up our consonants. And we are ready now to display. S new. And we don't want to display S new every time we loop, every time we find a consonant. We only want to display S new at the end when the computer is finished building up S new. So I'm going to go outside the end there, and I press my enter, and I'm ready now to bring up my display. Remember, I'm displaying on memo output. Over here, I'm using memo output. So I'm going to go on mem. You can also press Control plus space. If you press Control plus space, check it brings up all the tools that you have built up. I'm using mem output, so I'm going to double click on it, and then mem output dot lines, click on lines, and then dot add, and then click on add. I want to display snew. What data type is snew? Snew is a string. What data type is carried by a memo output? Memo output carries a string, so there is no conversion needed here. I can simply type in snew. So that's where I will display my my new word. So if the name comes in, whatever name is going to come in, it will be compared, checked whether it is in the vowels. If it is not in the vowels, it takes those consonants, builds up snew, and then displays our snew. And our program is ready now to run. I'm going to run this program and see whether it builds up a word without vowels. I'm going to type in input that has got vowels and see whether it takes out the vowels and only leaves the consonants. Okay, so I'm ready to run this. I'm in this program. I'm going to click on, let me click on save, and then quickly click on run. There is my program running. Remember, which button are we using? We're using the button no vowels. So I'm going to click on the button no vowels. And if I click on button no vowels, it asks for the name where I'm going to remove the vowels. So I'm going to type in a name like James, and then click on OK. The computer should take out J, it should take M and give us also S. So in other words, it should appear as JMS after removing the vowels. Then if I click OK, there we go. Look at my memo output. There I have got JMS. Also use another sample data. I'm going to click on no vowels again. Give a name, Ayabulela, and then click on OK. There it gives me YBLL. It has removed the vowels. So there we go. There we go. This is no vowels. The program went through, it removed all the vowels and built up a new word. It built up a new word, and we are displaying the words that have got consonants and without any vowels. If I can say program reset again, quickly run through, initialize snew to space, bring in the name through input box, and then also loop up to the length of the name, and then check if it is not in the vowels, compare capitals with capitals, and then build up your new word using the plus sign. And then thereafter, outside the loop, make sure that you display the what? Display the snew, which is the new word without vowels. Okay, I'm going to move over to, I'm going to switch over to the slide again to bring up another question. There were a couple of questions that we said we want to attempt. I've just finished removing vowels from a string, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen and bring up the slide again. Okay, this is the question that we have just tackled. This is the question that we have tackled, writing a program to ask the user to enter the name. We're moving on to the next one. We're going on to the next question. If I can read the next question, it's saying, input into the loop and display. We are trying to write a program to display a triangle with 5 stars at the base. I'll read that again. Write a program to display a triangle with 5 stars at the base. In other words, it's a triangle. At the top, there will be 1 star, and maybe the second line, it will be having 2 stars. The third line, 3 stars. And at the base, it should have how many stars? It should have 5 stars. Remember, we're supposed to use a for loop. We're supposed to use a for loop to display this. So we're going to go on to the next button now and write a program to display a triangle with 5 stars at the base. So I'm going to share my Delphi screen again so that we do this program. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, here is the coding side. Here is Delphi. Get back to my form. I'm going to go back to design. We have just done no vowels. Now I'm going to go on to the triangle of stars. Remember, we're supposed to create a triangle that is a base of 5 stars. So I'm going to double click on the button. After double clicking on the button, here we are on button 6. That's where we want to code on, and we want to design a program that will display 5 stars at the base, and they are in the form of a triangle. So first of all, obviously, I'm going to go on and declare variables. I'm going to declare variables. I'm going to declare a variable called S stars. And then that variable is data type. Remember, I've prefixed here with an S. I've prefixed to show that it is a string. Make sure that whenever you are naming your variables, prefix them with their data type. S is standing for a string. So S star data type is a string. And I also need to add my loop variable, which is IK. And as you can see, IK, they have prefixed with an I because it's an integer. Its data type is an integer. So I've declared my 2 variables there, S star and IK, which is an integer. I'm ready now to start coding here. Maybe first of all, before I code, I need to make sure that I clear my memo output. So I'll go on and say mem. And remember, you can press Control plus space. It will give you the name of the tool that you're using. Memo output dot lines dot clear. Remember, you can just also use memo output dot clear. So I'm trying to clear the previous details that were as a result of running the program. So it will clear before it runs this particular segment of the program. And now we go on and start initialize S star. Initialize S star. I'll initialize it to a star. I will initialize it to a space. Open and close, and then make sure that you terminate. So there we go. I've initialized S star to a space because that's where I want to build my stars to. And then I'm going to bring in the loop. I'm going to bring in the for loop. For my loop variable is IK. I'm running from 1 to 5. Why 1 to 5? Remember, we said a triangle with 5 stars. A triangle with 5 stars. So that's why I'm running it from 1 to 5. 1 to 5 do. And then I'm going to bring in my begin. Remember, we talked about why we are going to put in a begin. And then we start building S stars now. So we say S stars, S star, take note there. I said S star, not S stars. S star colon equals S star plus the real star. So I will put the star in quotation mark. Shift plus 8 to get your star. So I'm building up the stars using what? S star, which will come in as a space. It will come in as a space, and then the space is joined with the first star. That's the first run. When it loops again, S star already has a star. Now it will join star and star. In other words, now there will be how many stars? There will be 2 stars. And then it will loop like that until it gets to 5. That's how we can get our 5 stars. But something that is slightly different from the other question that we're doing, we want to display the stars immediately after building them up. So inside the begin and end here, we need to bring in our mem display, our mem output, and then we say dot lines, dot add. What are we displaying? We want to display S star. Remember, S star's data type is a string, and we are displaying on a memo output which handles a string. So there is no conversion needed there. And basically, that's it. Our program is done. We are ready to run it. Just to go through it quickly, I cleared my memo outside the loop and then initialized the start to space. And then as it runs from 1 to 5, it joins the first star to stars. S star will come in with nothing, so it will display the first star. But in the next run, in the next second run of the for loop, it will now be star plus star, which gives us 2 stars. And then third time, 3 stars, and so on. Okay, so we are ready to run this one. I'll click on save and then quickly click on run. There is the program, it's running. Remember, we're working on the button triangle of stars. So if I click right here, there it gives us a triangle of stars. There is the first star, there is 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, and finally 5 stars. So that's how you can use a loop actually to come up with stars, a triangle of stars. I hope everyone is following closely. Stars initialize, stars outside. Inside, keep building up the stars so that they can also display. As we build, we are displaying. We are not only displaying at the end, we are building. As we build, we display. As we build, we display. Okay, so we are done with this particular button. I'm going to stop sharing so that I go on to the next question that we need to do. We just finished this one, writing the program to display a triangle with 5 stars at the base. We go on to the next question that we want to do. Our next question. Input numbers and display the highest and lowest. We want to use a loop to input numbers and display the highest and lowest. Write a program to ask the user to enter 5 marks. The program then finds the highest or the lowest of the marks in the set and display it. I've got one button that is going to do this one. So I'll first of all try and get the highest before I do the lowest. Maybe I can do the lowest and then do the highest. So we're going to code and make sure that 5 marks come in. And when those 5 marks come in, the program then looks at those 5 marks and actually comes up with the highest mark, or it comes up with the lowest mark. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go on to highest and lowest. I'm going to switch over to Delphi to start coding highest and lowest. Okay, we're going to code on highest and lowest button here. We want to enter 5 marks, and then let's start off with the highest. So I'm going to double click on the button highest and lowest. Okay, the button is giving problems. I'll quickly put in another button. add another button. Okay, I'll use this one as highest and lowest. I'll quickly put the narration there. Let me just use highest, then double click on highest. There we go. So we're ready now to code. We're ready now to code here so that we find the highest. So obviously we're going to, first of all, declare variables. These are local variables. These are local variables that we're declaring. So I'm going to declare here var, my loop variable, because I'm using a for loop. My loop variable is ik. I'll put this as integer. And then also I'll declare rnum, that's a real number, rnum, and also r highest. Both of these are real numbers. Remember what real numbers are? They are numbers that can handle decimal points. They are numbers that can handle decimal points. Okay, so we go on to coding. Let's first of all allow the input to come in. I'm going to do an input. So I'm going to use the variable highest. 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 And then it's going to get from a string to int. I'm going to use an input box. So it's from a string to int. An input box gives you a string, and not to int, sorry. It is a string to float. Don't make that mistake. String to float. Why float? It is a real number. Highest is a real number. Real numbers are floating point numbers. We don't say string to real, we say string to float. So we go on and say enter a real number. Okay, we close that, put a comma, and then we say number. And then space. Then remember to close twice because we opened twice. String to float. I forgot input box here. Take note here. Input box. Input box. Don't forget that. Input box, enter a real number. It's a number. And then close twice. Okay. We are ready now to go on. I'm going to look now. Let me use for ik. I'm going to use ik. Colon equals let me use 2 to 4. As long as you're using anything that is ordinal data type, let me just use 2 to 4. Let me just use 2 to 4 as my loop. For ik colon equals 2 to 4 do, and then remember your begin, put up a begin, and then the computer adds n for you, and then rnum colon equals from a string to a float. I bring in again an input box, and then open bracket, open there, say enter a real number. Enter a real number. Comma, and then I will still say number. and then my space there, and then close twice, terminate. And then now I'm ready now to say, let's not put that space. Let's just make it interesting here. Let's say int, not int, let's use float to string, bracket ik, float to string bracket ik. And then let's go on to the next line of comparison. We go on and say if our num is actually greater than I highest. It's not I highest, it's R highest. R highest. Then, okay, then it's already there. And then we go on and say R highest now should get that value. Colon equals num. Terminate there. And then there is our end. Let's display. Where are we displaying? We're displaying on mem output. And then dot lines, dot add. And then our bracket. What are we displaying? It's from a float to a string of R highest. Okay, right. With this is our coding. We want to find the highest number. Whenever we go on to if our number is greater than highest, then highest should actually get that particular number. It should get that particular number. Then thereafter, we'll be able to display that number on memo output. So I'm going to run this program. I'll click on save and then click on run. There is an error, debugging time. Okay, that's the button that I had put. Remember, when I was trying to double click the other time, it gave me problems. I have to remove this procedure, okay, and then save that. I'm going to also go and remove it on the header section. Remember, my button gave me problems when I was trying to run the program. Let's run it. It will actually point me where the button is. Just click on run. And there is an error. There it is. I can now remove it safely. It was button 7. Remember, it gave us problems when I tried to click on it. It gave us problems, so we had to remove it. So click on save. Yes, I've removed that reference, and then I'm ready to run. There is our program running. Remember, we are working on the button highest and lowest. So now we're still dealing with highest. So when I click over there, my input box not coming up. Okay, let's get back to the program run, program reset. Run program reset. Okay, run it again. Okay, then we go on to highest and lowest. My input box not coming. Okay, let's go on. Let's check our coding again. Highest and lowest. There we go. Where is it? Okay, not times table. Design highest and lowest. Okay. That's the wrong button. I clicked on the wrong button again. Remember, I created another button. I created another button after that button gave us problems. So I'm not supposed to click on that same button. I'm supposed to click on the new button. Run, program reset, run it again. Errors, that header section, I can remove it, safely remove it, delete that, save, then yes, and then run it again. There is the program running. Remember, when the button gave me problems, when this button gave me problems, I left it, I had to code on highest. So this is the button that I have to click on highest. There is the input, enter a real number. Maybe let me say 54,9, and then click on OK. And then number, maybe say 50, and then click on OK. And then the third number, say 65, then click that. The fourth number, say 78, and then click on OK. There it displays my highest number there is 78. So whenever the program runs, the first number that you enter becomes your first number, and then it tries to compare whatever you enter with all the other numbers that come in. Remember, my loop was running from 2 to 4. The reason for running it from 2 to 4, we have been running it from 1 to 5 or 1 to 4, but then the first number that comes in as an input box becomes our first number. So when it's looping, it's now getting the second number to compare that with, and then the third number, and so on. Run it one more time. I want to put maybe a number like 34, and then the second number, it will be 90, and then the next number becomes 20, the next number becomes 59, and then click OK. There, my highest number in all those marks that I entered was 90. So that's how far you can go with comparing the numbers and fetching the highest and the lowest. So I'm going to go back to the coding side quickly, just for you to see here. The first number comes in there, the second number comes in, it's comparing that number with this one, and then compares the next number that comes with whichever number is actually greater than our highest. So this particular question was dealing with highest. I need you to, as work for the week, try to come up with a similar program here that can look for lowest, because this actually looked at the highest number. Try to look for and try and build a program that will actually work on building a lower number, According to my buttons that I have here, if you can quickly check here, I was meant also to go on to Palindrome. We'll look at Palindrome probably next time. And what is a palindrome? It is a word that if you spell it in the reverse order, it will still have the same meaning as reading it normally. So that's a word like dead, D-A-D. If you read it from the back, it's still dead. So that's what we are going to do probably next week. Allow me now to quickly look at your work that you did in the previous lesson, reversing a word, and then try and do lowest as your part of your homework, and we'll do palindromy in our next lesson. The reversing of a word that I gave you last time, if I can click here and show you the code, here is the code. I ask for an input that is coming in from an input box. Someone types in the name, and then we are going to build a new word called S word. So we loop from the length, which is the end of the word. If the word is 7 characters long, it will loop from 7 down to 1. And then in so doing, it's building up S word, which is our new word using S name IK, each of those characters. And then thereafter, it will display outside the loop. If I can also run this one, program reset, get back to run. Here is my program, reverse a word, and then take a word like tomorrow. I'll reverse this one, then you click there. The computer is reversed tomorrow. So how does it do this? Remember, we're looping from the length of tomorrow, and the length of tomorrow, according to my calculation, that is 8. So it will run from 8 down to 1. So it will fetch the 8th character, which was W, in the word tomorrow, and then build up at the next one, until it builds up a new word, which is the reversed word tomorrow. So this is the work that I had given you to try and do. And I've also did it here in front of you so that you can correct yourself. And then for your homework, please try and do lowest, and we'll look at palindromy in the next lesson. I will stop sharing now and get back to my slide. Okay, this is the last thing that we did here. We did highest. So I need you to go on and try and do lowest by yourselves. Please try and do lowest, and then we'll pick it up from here in our next lesson. And I assume in our next lesson, we'll actually wrap up the loops, the for loop, and then we'll go on to the other loop, which is the repeat loop and the while loop. So go and try that one. We will work on it next week, and then we'll also do the palindromy one also next week, just to wrap up the for loop. I've already done the revision of the work that I gave you. Do not worry about this one. We'll do it next week. I'll also put it as a part of a button that you can do. It was meant to be your homework this week, but I will do it in the next lesson. Just in summary, adding an if condition inside the loop. Remember, using if in. Don't forget to use the square bracket. We used this one when we're looking at vowels. If not upcase, the word square bracket in, then we put the vowels A, and so on, the vowels, and then please make sure that you can use if in. You're using ordinal data type. And also remember upcase. Upcase works on a character, not on a word, as opposed to uppercase. Uppercase work on a full string, but this one works on a single character. And also remember to build up build up a string inside the loop, but declare it and initialize it outside the loop. And then you can also use highest by initializing it to 0, and also use lowest by initializing it to 100. Then you compare whatever comes in with lowest, or compare whatever comes in with 0, which is highest. And then a palindromy, we'll also look at that in the coming lesson. Okay, please remember to make sure that you practice in all these skills, because a skill that you do not practice is as good as dead. And any queries, please do not hesitate to actually send me an email, gyindlovu@africateengeeks.co.za. I'm ready now to listen to any queries, any questions that I can quickly tackle. I'm open to that. Anyone who has a question on the questions that we did today? Anyone with a question? I hope you fully understood those different questions that we did. Try them. And I'm also working on a folder that I can share this file or the folder for the the for loop question that I've been doing, so that you guys can access it. But even if you send me an email, I can easily send you a link through a drive that I can share all these files with you. Okay, I'll check the chats. Say I have trouble doing running totals. Can we please go over it next week? Okay, we'll also run over do running totals. We'll do that next week. Thank you very much, Akesha. We'll actually look at that again next week. Thank you very much for being part of this lesson. If there are no questions, please, same time next week, connect, be part of the lesson. We'll tackle all the running totals. We'll tackle palindrome. We'll also look at lowest, and then we'll be able to move on to other different types of loops, looking at the repeat loop and also the while loop. But thank you very much for being part of this lesson. Go and practice all the skills that I've given you.